Hi, creative friends. This is Shreya, and thank you so much for being here. So, this is going to be a relaxed video because I am going to be working in 3 of my children's cardboard books that I have repurposed into art journals. And while I do that and I go back and forth, I am going to be talking about our creative cycles. I'm going to be talking about what they are and the value and wisdom of honoring them. So, first, let me just talk about these amazing children's cardboard books. I have been using these for years as art journals. Like, I picked this little one up over here for 50 cents. Okay, you guys, I mean, this is such a huge win to use children's cardboard books and repurpose them into art journals, but also, tons of other things. I mean, you can use them for scrapbooking, for photo albums. I mean, I've seen some really amazing ways to use these, but I'll tell you why they're such a huge win. The first thing is they are super cheap. I mean, if you go to a thrift store, you can get them anywhere from 25 cents to at most $1. And then you are saving them from, a landfill. So you're recycling and repurposing them. And not only that, but the best reason to use them for mixed media is because the boards, the pages are really sturdy. So they can take any number of layers. I mean, I could probably put 30 layers on top of these boards and they're not going to buckle. And also the spines really hold up. Like they do not come apart. Well, they haven't for me. And another great reason for using these children's cardboard books, as if you needed another reason, is that they come in all different shapes and sizes. Like I have seen huge ones and little ones and really interesting shapes, and some of them have like little flaps that I'm sure you could incorporate them into your art journal. I'm not really crafty that way, but I know a lot of people are. So there are a million and one ways to use these books over here. So another reason why I'm going to go back and forth while I talk about our creative cycles is because it's just a good way for you to see the benefits of working in this way. And I work in this way quite a lot. So I just want to bring this up closer, and this is just a first layer. So I'm going to add a ton more layers. Now, this particular little journal over here, I'm really loving all the grays that just kind of showed up because usually I go for like the bright colors. But over here, like I just love all these subtle grays. They're just so like delicious. And like, look at that. Oh my goodness. I'm just loving all this beautiful, moody, delicious, sensual, really, um, it has such depth and it has such subtlety and beauty in its variations. And I didn't mean to do a flip through of the journal, but I just noticed that all these grays just showed up and I'm just really loving them. Now, whether they'll stay or not, I don't know, but I'm going to try to retain them because I really do love grays. Like, I really love this page. And this is not, a really bright, like pop, like I always tend to gravitate towards. But just as much as I love the bright colors, I also love the moody, luscious, very understated grays. I just love them. So, anyways, I didn't mean to do a flip through of that. But, anyways, so I'm just going to work back and forth and I'm going to talk about our creative cycles. And I've put some notes up, like I've stuck them on my window so you can't see them, but I wanted to just keep on track because I don't want to like just go off on a tangent, which, you know, I want to make some important points. So basically, I'm going to talk about our creative cycles and what it is and how we can recognize them because they're going to be different for every person. And at different times in our lives, they're also going to be very different. Like when I was pregnant, I stopped painting for the entire time and I started scrapbooking because I didn't want to expose my unborn baby to, the toxic fumes of paint. So I just scrapbooked and I really love that. So, you know, it's going to be different for each person, but it's also going to be different at different times in our lives. And that's totally normal and it's okay. So, whether we are artists or writers or musicians, it's really important to understand and honor our creative rhythm. And the key is to stay inspired and productive without burning ourselves out. Because as much as I'm a huge proponent of working and having a creative practice, etc., there are going to be times in our life when we are going to have ebbs and flows because we're not machines, we're human beings. And, you know, there are going to be moments of blooming where we have energy and ideas come super easily. And then there are going to be other times when we feel more like we want to rest and we need to detach. And, if we look at those times in a negative way, that is going to, um, it's going to impact our creativity because the resting parts are part of the creative process. They're not separate from the creative process. Like a lot of times when we think of creativity, we think of creativity. Yes, it's this, mass and ball of energy and it's movement and creating and, just making things, putting things together, whether it's ideas or, a painting, a book or whatever. But, creativity is also the resting part. It's also the um, relaxing, the darkness, the healing part. It's the parts where we have to be stagnant, maybe, and dormant, because in those times we can plant seeds, and seeds grow in the dark. Just think about out in nature, seeds are planted and then they go into the soil and they don't reach the sun. They do a lot of their growing underground. And that's exactly the same for us. Now, it might seem like, I started my YouTube channel about 4 or 5 months ago, and I am really productive right now because I am in a very creatively abundant state of flow right at this moment. And I have been since I started my YouTube channel. But what you may not know is that for the past year and a half prior to me starting my YouTube channel, I did not pick up a paintbrush at all. I did not paint. Now, I had my studio set up in my home, but I just didn't paint. And because I've been doing this for so long, I didn't fight it. I just knew that, okay, this is where I am and this is where I need to be. Like I had no energy. I was all fizzled out and I had no inclination to paint. So I'm just going to interrupt what I was saying for a second, and I'm just going to show you. Like, see, I laid down some paint here, and now I'm going to just move it off to the side, and now I'm going to work on, say, this little journal over here, and I'm just going to clean out my brush because I don't want to get the paint on here for this particular spread because I want to retain my grays. I don't want to I just really love all this stuff. So I want to keep that. But sometimes, I can totally transfer colors from one journal to another. So it just depends on how you want to work. But do you see how this is such a great way to work? Because I applied a little bit over there and then I put it off to the side and now I'm going to come back here and I'm going to just work on this little spread and then I'll move to my third journal. So working in this way is not only practical in the sense like you can be more productive, but it's also like a great way to just get some perspective. Anyways, I'm sorry, I totally forgot what I was saying about, I think I was talking about, how I couldn't paint. And what happened was I was exhausted. I was running on empty. And it was a time in my life when I was dealing with a lot of personal challenges. It was like, there's no way that I could create. So I only started painting back about 3 weeks before I started my YouTube channel, and I still have an Instagram account that I had been running for 10 years, approximately, and it was a huge creative outlet for me. But about roughly 2 years ago, I took a hiatus from it because I was just at a point in my life when I was burnt out, and like I said, I was dealing with a lot of personal challenges. So I just like took a break from it, and I will get back to it at some point, but now is not the time because I can't. I'm still learning so much about YouTube, and there's so many different things to learn about YouTube, from the technical aspects of lighting and sound, et cetera, that I cannot, you know, give my 100% to Instagram while I'm also doing YouTube. Like, I just can't do that right now. So I will get back to it at some point. But for right now, I'm just focusing on, on YouTube. And this is like my huge creative outlet. But what I was saying is, I did not, um, like, it was only about 3 weeks or so, roughly, give or take, before I started my YouTube channel, that I started painting again. And even though I'm a huge proponent of, having our tables set and having all our art supplies out. And I mean, I had a studio, like I mentioned, in my home, and it just sat there like for a year and a half. It just sat there, and there were weeks and months when I didn't even come into my studio. It was just like just sitting there. And that's okay, because, sometimes things just have to be dormant. Sometimes taking a break and stepping away from our creative process for a while, it's not a failure, but it's a vital part of the creative process. And sometimes when we quiet our mind and we step away, we rest, we wander, we daydream, we can have creative breakthroughs, and seeds can be planted because, like I said, seeds grow in the dark. And we need to rest and replenish and recharge. We need to reflect because this is how we get important insights. I may realize during my resting time that, hey, you know what? I want to paint still lifes, or I want to paint landscapes, or maybe I want to double down on what I'm already doing. Maybe I want to change mediums. Maybe I want to paint larger. Maybe I want to paint smaller. All of those insights can come to us when we are resting. We can expand our vision. And creativity, by its very nature, is cyclical. And this is exactly what Dr. Estes is talking about in Women Who Run with the Wolves. The wild woman, whose very job is invention, creation, and recreation, tells us to slow down, to heal, to replenish, to listen to our intuition, to pay attention to what our body is telling us. And so I'm going to move that off to the side there. And now I'm going to work on this over here. And, sometimes we, getting back to what I was talking about with the wild woman archetype, we have to pay attention to what we need in that moment. We need to be in alignment. And sometimes we're not in alignment. Sometimes, things happen in our lives where we're really disjointed and we're experiencing a lot of difficulties, whatever those difficulties might be. So, you know, in order to get in alignment, we need to recalibrate, we need to step back. And sometimes we need to discard our old selves and reinvent ourselves if it's required. And that takes a lot of energy. So, in order for us to be at the active part of our creativity, we need to value and pay attention to the resting part of our creativity, the dormant side of our creativity. And all of us have male and female energies within us, and we need to value the masculine energies that are like all about action and doing, as well as the feminine aspect that is very receptive and at ease. So in order for us to be you know at our creativity, to keep everything going where we're not running on empty and burnt out, we need to honor both the masculine and the feminine part of ourselves. And there's no right way to create, and each of us are going to have our own particular cycles. And at the end of the day, honoring our creativity means giving ourselves permission to be exactly where we are without any judgment. And it's understanding that the flow and the rest are all part of the same beautiful process. So I really encourage you to pay attention to your unique creative rhythms, because, like I said, they're going to be different for everybody, and they're going to vary maybe from day to day, or maybe, at different stages in our lives. Um, and just honor it and celebrate the bursts of energy and honor the quiet periods as well, because we're living in, most of the societies that we live in, they just tell us to go, 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 go. And you know that um we shouldn't need to rest. We only value the masculine energy of doing, 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 doing until we just burn ourselves out. And I am just as guilty of this as anyone. But over the years, I've really learned to honor the resting parts, because when the like when I had this period of a year and a half when I wasn't painting, I wasn't now I was journaling in the sense of not art journaling, but journaling as in writing. I was doing that, but that was part of my healing process. And I was it's not I mean, I wasn't depressed. I was still working out. I was doing all the things I normally do, but I was not painting. I was not creating. And it just had to be that way. I mean, I didn't like beat up on myself or try to rush myself. And now I am in a season of just like I go to sleep thinking about, oh, I'm going to create this and I'm going to create that. And I am in such a season of creative abundance. I want to make like a million art journals, and I have all these ideas that are just, coming to me, and I almost can't catch up with them. And I'm just writing all the time. I'm painting all the time. I go to bed thinking about, oh my God, like I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to create this and I'm going to create that. And then I wake up in the morning and I'm, in my studio just creating, and I'm just in the flow. But preceding this, I was I was just dormant. And that is part of the creative cycle as well. And I just wanted to talk about it because I don't know if a lot of times, we may not recognize that the creative cycle is just as much the resting part and the dormant part and the dark, quiet part as it is the busy, active, energetic kind of aspect as well. And see, so now I'm going to let that dry and I'm going to move that off to the side. And then I am going to come back to this journal, this spread over here. So anyways, if you've watched all the way to the end, I hope that this has been helpful. I hope it has been informative, and I hope it hasn't been too confusing with all my points that I was trying to get across. But if you've watched all the way to the end, thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.